Have you ever noticed something strange about our time? It feels like we're all communicating constantly, and yet somehow we seem to be understanding each other less and less.
Just let that sink in for a second. With all this talking, is anyone actually hearing anything? It's a really quiet thought about our incredibly loud world.
Okay, so let's dig into this. What does our modern communication landscape even look like? Well, it's crowded, it's really fast, and yeah, it definitely gives you this feeling that we're all connected. But what if that's just a powerful illusion?
I mean, look around. Everyone is talking. And it's not like they're just shouting into the void, right? Everyone is responding instantly, endlessly.
And here's the kicker. Everyone is just waiting for their turn to speak. It doesn't really feel like a dialogue anymore, does it? It's more like a queue where we're all just waiting for our slot.
So, with all that noise, all that back and forth, how is it possible that so many of us feel completely unheard? It's a paradox, right? But it's not an accident. No, this is a direct result of how we fundamentally changed the whole point of a conversation. And to really get why, we have to talk about something that we've all become, well, a little afraid of, and that's silence. The way we think about a simple pause in a conversation, it's completely different now.
Just look at this contrast. Back then, silence meant respect. It meant you were actually present in the conversation. It showed discipline. You were taking the time to process what was being said. But now silence is just awkward. It feels suspicious. We think it means someone's unintelligent. If you're not talking, you must not have anything to say. That's the assumption.
And because it makes us so uncomfortable, our first instinct is to just get rid of it. We rush to fill the silence. Any little gap, any pause, we just jam it full of more words, a lot of the time without even thinking.
So that brings us right to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? What's really driving our conversations these days? What's the real motive behind all this noise?
Think of it this way. For a lot of us, modern listening is really just a pause between two speeches. That kind of says it all, right? It's not about receiving anything anymore. It's just a little intermission we have to sit through before we get to give our own speech. We don't really absorb words anymore. We scan them. It's like we're running a search engine in our heads. We're just looking for keywords, for a weak point to attack, for the first possible opening to jump in. We've trained ourselves to react, not to actually receive what's being said. And this is a really important distinction to make. Hearing, well, that's just a passive process. It's a physical function. Sound waves hit your ears. It just happens. But listening is an active effort. It's a mental discipline. You have to choose to do it. And I think we've started to really confuse the two. So what's the cost of all this? What happens when our world is just a bunch of competing monologues, when nobody is actually absorbing anything?
Well, real listening, it requires a few things that are in pretty short supply these days. It needs patience. The patience to actually let someone finish their thought. It needs attention, to genuinely focus on their words. And maybe most importantly, it needs humility. The humility to admit you might not have all the answers, that you could actually learn something. In our world, it just seems designed to work against all three of those.
And when you take away those ingredients, this is what happens, step by step. First, we rush to conclusions. We hear a few words, and our brain just jumps to the finish line. Because of that, second, we skip all the important context, and third, we completely misunderstand the other person's intention. It's almost inevitable.
And that is why so many conversations feel empty. It's why arguments on the internet go in circles. Why work meetings feel like a waste of time. Why sometimes even our closest relationships can feel hollow. Everyone's talking, but nobody's home.
Okay, but it doesn't have to be this way. There is a way back. And it's not some complicated new life hack. It's actually a really old-school solution. It's just a simple but powerful shift in why we listen in the first place. First, you have to unlearn something. You don't listen to respond. That's not the goal. Your job isn't to be sitting there quietly crafting your perfect comeback. It's not about winning the argument.
This is the big shift. You listen to learn. You listen to understand. You go into a conversation just assuming, that the other person knows something you don't. And when you do that, the whole thing changes. It stops being a fight and starts being, well, a discovery.
And that brings us right back to silence. See, it's not a weakness. It's not an awkward void. It's discipline. It's the space you create for understanding to actually happen. Think about it. The quietest person in the room, they're often the one who understands the most. Why? Because they're not busy performing. They're busy absorbing. So let me ask you this. What's the most powerful thing you can actually bring to a conversation? It's not your cleverest point. It's not a witty comeback. It's not a mountain of facts and data.
It's your attention. That's it. The simple, undivided, and honestly profound act of just paying attention. That is what builds real connection. That's what leads to understanding. And that is what makes a conversation actually matter.